Good morning, dear people of the internet, and welcome to the time of the week where we dive into weird internet shenanigans. Today we go back to the root of all internet shenanigans, Instagram Reels. Over the last few months, I've somehow ended up on the queer artsy side of Instagram, which is where I actually want to be in life, so I didn't see any weird, conservative, and conspiracy theories, because those often go hand in hand for some reason. So I was like, do they still exist over there, or has Instagram Reels been turned into a good place? So I did one quick search in the Instagram search bar, and they're in fact still there, and they still have an audience, of course. So that means that they're either onto something, or that we need to debunk some of them, or both. So we're doing that today, looking at them and seeing if they're onto something.
Here's propaganda we don't stand for. 1. The Earth and the stars have never looked like this. Actually, they've always looked like this. NASA was created to deceive the population and to try to mock God. Those images are CGI. Now for the best part. The Earth is a circle made with a compass laid upon a flat plane which is bounded at both of its ends. It does not move. It's covered by a dome which surrounds the sun, moon, and the stars.
Of course, we are starting off very strongly with the NASA is fake and faking everything in space like stars with CGI. Now, I actually don't really care if they're faking space or not, because there's no reason to fake space. So if they're doing that and they want to do that, that's fine. But I actually don't think they're doing that. But there's no reason to fake space, except mocking God, apparently. But I am also not sure why NASA would want to do that. Whether you believe in God or not, mocking God by doing science is not something people do. I just rewatched the video, the Instagram video, and she suggests that God created Earth with a compass. Like, isn't it mocking God by saying that God needs a compass to create a perfect circle? I don't believe in God, but I would imagine that the people who do believe in God also believe that God is perfectly able to make a perfect circle without compass. And also, the Earth is round. I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Next, lethal injections, specifically childhood injections. They're completely inhumane and contain microchips, which are able to be activated and inactivated, and also track your sleep, your thought patterns, your activity, etc., with the use of frequency being emitted from the 5G towers. Yeah. I know they hid the fact that breast milk is actually the only vaccination your child needs. It contains all fatty acids, minerals, vitamins, hydrogen peroxide, which is extremely antibacterial and antiviral for the baby's system, and immunoglobulins, which is their entire immune system.
We have had 3G and 4G, but now we have 5G, and then now in combination with vaccinations, that means that 5G and vaccinations are suddenly bad. But 3G and 4G were absolutely fine. And vaccinations before that were fine too. Maybe, I don't know. Except the first vaccination was used in 1796, way before the internet even existed. There was like 150 years between the first vaccination for smallpox in 1796 and the internet. Because of that, it's very safe to say that vaccinations are not invented to torture children and get them microchips. People in 1796 had never even heard of microchips because they didn't exist back then. Like, it's really true that we are watched by technology more and more, but they are not really great at doing that very secretively yet. For example, with the Instagram map that came out in the US last week, if you haven't heard about that, please check that. If you're from the US, I don't think it's in Europe right now. They tried to be secretive about it, but people found out right away and made content about it. So they're not really good at doing that secretively yet. So I don't think we need to worry about that part. Well, we do need to worry a little bit about it, but they're not injecting microchips into children. You would know.
Hate to break it to you, kid, but dinosaurs don't exist. Never have. Actually, the bones that they dig up are the remains of giants during the Tartarian times. What a dream killer.
Leave the dinosaurs alone, please. They had a hard enough time with that meteor, you know. I like dinosaurs. I'm also autistic. That has nothing to do with each other, and yet it does. Anyways, not important. Anyhow, Miranda says something very important here about giants and Tartarian times. I had never heard of this Tartary, so I went to the one place with all the true information on the internet, Wikipedia, which you should check the sources on Wikipedia if you want to read something there, but it's a great place to start any research, not a place to end your research. research, but to start. Anyhow, star tree was used to describe Central Asia and Siberia around the 1700s. Later on, around the 1970s, there was a conspiracy that the Tartarian Empire was a group of technological advanced people that got wiped away by mud flood. The reason the Tartarian Empire theory exists is because they found great architecture all around the world that was kind of similar, and they were like, oh, the only reason why this is possible is because there was some great empire of technologically advanced people that made these buildings. Which I feel like there's a logic to making buildings. I feel like architecture is different all around the world and somehow similar because in the very basics, all buildings need to be somewhat similar to work as a building, you know? But okay. Also, this Wikipedia page didn't mention anything about the giants at all, so maybe my research wasn't deep enough. They were at least not that important to this conspiracy theory that the dinosaurs were giants. That's something that's not inherent to this theory, probably. So on one hand, we have a conspiracy theory by a Russian man that became famous in 2016. Not a Russian man, but the conspiracy theory became internet famous in 2016. And on the other hand, we have Miranda, who apparently believes in great architecture made by giants that were also dinosaurs. I don't think it matters a lot whether the bones are giants or dinosaurs, because a lot of dinosaurs were giants. In a way, you know, it's both very impressive. I am just gonna jump on a limb, if that's the right proverb, and say that Miranda just doesn't like dinosaurs, which is sad because dinosaurs are great.
3 meals a day was created by the Rockefeller Foundation. Our ancestors didn't eat 3 times a day. If they ate 3 times a week, that was a lot. Your body is meant to be in a fasted state. Why do you heal when you sleep? Because you're fasted. Your body's able to take the energy that it normally would take if it was breaking down and assimilating food. Instead, it's putting it towards healing and rejuvenating the body. Feeling sick? Don't go to the white coat who has no idea what he's talking about. Throw a 36-hour fast at it. Stem cells are activated. They go to the area of injury. They go to the areas that need healing. Your body thrives in a fasted state. If you're a woman, you fast differently than a man does. Don't buy into the 3 meals a day. It was created to keep you fat, lazy, and relying on the Rockefeller food system. Never should obesity be in style. Ever.
Don't go to the doctor, just starve yourself. That was very sarcastic, by the way. Don't do that. There is a lot to unpack here. First of all, she's absolutely right about our ancestors probably not eating 3 meals a day. However, that has nothing to do with this guy called Rockefeller, as far as I can see. He's not the guy that did this. The Rockefeller Foundation, however, is a foundation that wants to make sure that people all around the world have access to food. I did not dive very deep into this organization, so I don't know anything about them, just that they want to do that. The idea of eating 3 meals a day emerged from around the 1750s during the Industrial Revolution, which is about 150 years before John Rockefeller, like the big Rockefeller guy, even existed. Second of all, I know absolutely nothing about biology except for the things that I was forced to learn before I was 15. Now school is good, so I'm happy they forced me to learn that because it taught me logic and basic information that I can use to feed my logic sense to say something about this. When you sleep, your body uses fuel, aka food, to process basically your entire day, both in your brain and in your body, because it is healing overnight, but it's also processing just information. And that's not something you can do without fuel or the food you ate during the day. That means that sleep cannot replace eating, because you need to eat in order to sleep well. So this was just plain wrong. And eating enough to maintain your body doesn't mean that you're lazy or fat or whatever. Just saying that just doesn't make any sense. Now, that were a lot of different things that were obviously not true. I love how Miranda here wasn't even fully versed on what she was saying, because now even when you see some kind of sense into what she's saying, for example, that breast milk has a lot of good nutrients, which is true, you know that she's wrong about the vaccinations, because the timeline here just doesn't make any sense, among other things. No matter what you believe, though, humans get sick. For example, with cancer, which sucks.
Why is nobody talking about this? The scientists mentioned here created the very protocol that my own mother used when she was diagnosed with cancer 27 years ago. I believe is the reason why she is still here today. Take a look.
Things you're going to learn from me in this interview is that in 1992, there was a scientist out of Canada, and I need to rehash this. Her name was Hilda Clark, and Hilda Clark wrote a book titled Cure for All. And what she found was 100 different identified and diagnosed in 100 different individuals, and she gave them 3 herbs, 3 plants in supplement form for 5 days, and she cured all of them.
This would be absolutely wonderful, right? So why aren't we talking about it? Well, I looked up this Hulda Clark person, and they did her really dirty with her Wikipedia picture. She looks like a ghost in this picture. Anyhow, Hulda was a Canadian naturopath, so like a nature doctor person, who claimed that all big illnesses were caused by some kind of parasite. She also claimed that she could cure people with herbs and brain electricity things within like 3 to 5 days. That's a very short time. She first had a practice in Indiana in the USA, but she got a lawsuit or something because she practiced medicine without a license, which is not allowed, and it's good that that's not allowed. And then she went to Mexico, where she eventually died of bone cancer. I love this kind of poetic irony. I think that's enough evidence to prove that her claims weren't true about curing cancer, because why didn't she cure herself? I think it's a really bad advertisement if you work in cancer research and claim that you can cure all kinds of cancers and then eventually die of cancer. It's bad advertisement for her so-called science, which is not science because it's not true, which she proved herself, literally. But like, if you want to sell like supplements and stuff, like the detox mentor in this video, you obviously don't tell people that the research person did die of bone cancer, because you want to make money, because everything is about making money nowadays. Speaking of money, I have an online store where I sell cute crochet plushies and zines and prints, and I also have bookmarks now, so that's great. If you actually want something, I don't claim that they will cure anything. Maybe it will make you happy for a moment, I hope, so I can afford college. So thank you. You can check that out in the links in the description, and thank you for checking it out. Anyhow, science never works according to these kinds of people on Instagram, and if cancer is only caused by parasites, wearing sunscreen doesn't make any sense either.
So let me get this straight. The sun, the literal giver of all life on this planet, is the enemy, and it's to be avoided at all costs because it gives us cancer. So instead, we should lather our skin with this, even though it's filled with carcinogens and hormone-disrupting chemicals, all to protect ourselves. And meanwhile, sun exposure rates have decreased over the decades while skin cancer rates continue to rise. And forgetting that the sun is responsible for producing cancer-fighting molecules such as vitamin D and melatonin. But no, let's just block it all out and trust the people that are selling us this, which just so happen to own the pharmaceutical companies that are profiting massively when we get sick. But it's just the sun. The sun is the enemy. Got it.
To be completely honest with you, the idea that sunscreen is flammable makes me a little bit queasy too. You know, because it's supposed to protect me from the big flame ball in the sky, and then if what I'm wearing to protect me from it is flammable, you know, it's logical, right? But luckily science doesn't work like that. Just like how deodorant is flammable, and no one is saying anything about that either. Some people are. But the reason that some deodorants, not all of them, and some sunscreens, not all of them, are flammable is because they are in a spray bottle, which requires a certain type of gas that is flammable to literally work. If you don't want that, you can use a cream sunscreen that is not flammable. So problem solved. Also, nobody said that the sun was the enemy. Like, the same doctors that would advise you to wear sunscreen would also advise you to go out in the sun because you need vitamin D, which you only can get from the sun, or vitamin pills, but like, the sun is the easiest, freest way to get that. To me, it makes a lot of sense that the big fireball in the sky comes with some kind of dangers, and I think we're really lucky that we can go outside safely, and we have found some measurements that are really easy, like wearing sunscreen and wearing clothes literally already helps a lot against the sun, so we can enjoy it in moderation, of course. The reason why we have more skin cancer cases nowadays is also really easy to explain, because science happens during time, which makes it easier to screen for skin cancer, so we can detect it easier, and so more people are getting treatment for it, which is great. People in the comments were also criticizing the tattoos of this man, but I think it makes sense. Like, they were like, why, if you don't want chemicals in sunscreen, why are you injecting chemicals into your body? But let's remember that this man doesn't believe in skin cancer. So in short, the logic is completely lost here, and I'm confused. Yes, he doesn't believe in skin cancer. Tattoo ink. I have a tattoo. I am not against tattoos, but tattoo ink has been linked to skin cancer. The sun causes more skin cancer than tattoos, by the way. And getting a tattoo, like the sun on your tattoo, is more dangerous than the sun on not tattooed skin, by the way. Okay, so this man has tattoos, which have been linked to skin cancer. This man sits in the sun, which has been linked to skin cancer. This man doesn't use sunscreen, which has not been linked to skin cancer, well, only by preventing it. So this man is just doing things to get skin cancer because he doesn't believe in it, but also chemicals, and chemicals are in tattooing, which he's injecting into his body, even though you don't have to inject sunscreen, because that doesn't make any sense. So I'm so confused. Anyways, that means that we have seen enough illogical internet shenanigans misinformation today, because all of this was misinformation except for what I said. I think please do your own research and use your own logic and critical thinking by doing that, because I am also no scientist, so I might have said wrong things here, but I use my logic and my research skills that I do have. So use your own brain, please, when you roam about the internet. And thank you for watching. If you liked my little video, please press the wonderful shiny like and subscribe buttons, and then I will see you next time. Ciao!